Let's go to next. Let's go to Coach Chuck Barnard. You'll love his accent. He comes to us from Maine. And as a little kid, I used to love to call the toll-free operators because they were either from Atlanta, Georgia, or the New England, Massachusetts, Maine area. And I just love to listen to you talk. So Chuck, same question right out of the chutes. What is your subject matter expertise?
Thank you, Dan. It's a privilege and honor to be here and be part of this panel. My professional training and background is really in education and behavioral sciences. So I have my master's degree in special education, focusing on behavior, got a background in as a master's level certified neuro-linguistic programming, master practitioner, hypnotherapist, timeline therapist, and also training in advanced behavioral modeling. So my professional training is really all about human behavior, but the real education was learning how to apply all that to working with teenagers and their families in public school settings. So that's really where I was able to take all that book knowledge and apply it and really basically empower teens and their families to be transformed by the renewing of their mind, or more aptly, their mindset.
Yeah, as an expert in mindset mentoring, I've complimented Chuck in every one of our sessions. We meet twice a month and then 4 live sessions over the course of this Dan Clark certified speaking program. And I've complimented Chuck because not everybody has the ability to communicate with teenagers. So everyone within the sound of our voices, obviously, if we have a spouse or children or grandchildren, this is one of the most important programs that we could sponsor and bring into our children's school districts. So let's just talk, Chuck. Is there something, actually a better question I think is this something that you have always been interested in, this field of mindset mentoring? Or is there a specific experience that helped you find this focus, that helped you find this passion and uncover it?
Yeah, there's really 2 experiences that stand out. One was being introduced to Tony Robbins and going through a Tony Robbins training. But I always go back to this when I was 16, and there's this experience I had and this boy I had met that really shaped my professional motivation. And when I was 16 years old, I was running a police athletic league baseball program. I grew up in that program. I'd aged out at 12 years old, kept going back 13, 14, 15. Finally, 16, they let me run the field. And there's this boy, Bobby, who he was in the Pee Wee division. So it's like ages 5 to 8 years old. And he was a little guy, 5 years old. And every day he was showing up, and he had this beautiful, biggest smile and this enthusiasm. He just was so excited to play baseball every day. Well, Bobby had a stump for a right hand and a severe limp where he had to like drag his right leg behind him. And we didn't do T-ball or anything back in those days. We just did coach pitch. And, be pitching to him, and he would be struggling to make contact. And that'd be, all right, Bobby, nice try. Go to the end of the bench. Next inning, we'll get him next inning. And, he would go to the end of the bench, sit down, and seconds after he sits down, that big smile, and he would start cheering on his teammates. And then finally, after I don't know how many innings and how many games it was, he hits a little dribbler out in front of home plate, and he's doing his darndest to get down to first base, dragging that right leg behind him. The catcher picked up the ball, and he threw it down towards first base. It goes by the first baseman. Right fielder picks it up, and Bobby's standing at first base, and he just starts jumping for joy. His teammates rush out. It's like he just won the 7th game of the World Series on a walk-off hit. The other team smiling. I'm tearing up. I'm 16 years old, and I'm tearing up. But that moment and that light that boy had and shared with everybody else and kind of gave everybody else permission to have that, I came to realize when I got an education that that's what I wanted these struggling students to remember that they had, or to find and rediscover. And I talk now about the power of possibility, planting possibility. And relatively early in my teaching career, there's one student who exemplified what we were about. And we had developed a framework. I developed this framework that I call sow possibility, S-O-W, like, sowing seeds. And it stands for identifying the seeds of your story, owning those stories, and then weeding out what you don't want and what doesn't belong, so that you can have that idea of what's possible for you, and your light can shine like little bobbies. Well, there's this young boy, sixth grader, Andy, who came into our program, and we don't usually take sixth graders, but it was very clear that he was really struggling, and it really centered around very low self-esteem, particularly around academics. And for 2 years, we were making some progress, but it was just the root of it all was really about this belief that he couldn't do math. And finally, beginning of his 8th grade year, he kind of blurted out, "Mr. Barnard, I just can't do math. I come from a long line of math dummies." And I was like, "Andy, you mean you inherited this?" He's like, "Yeah, I can't do math. Nobody in my family can do math." And I was like, "Oh, Andy, if you inherited your dad's house, you would own it, right? And when you own it, you could keep it or you could get rid of it, can't you?" "Yeah." So, well, the same's true with belief. He was able to take ownership. We showed him how to weed it out. And the beginning of that 8th grade year, he'd been testing on a standardized math test at the 10th percentile level, doing 5th grade math as an 8th grader. The end of the year, he was 50th percentile, solidly average, and doing 8th grade level math. And the biggest difference was we showed him what was possible for him, and we helped him weed out what didn't belong. And that's that message that I'm really trying to bring to young people, adults really as well. We can all benefit from that very idea.
And so you specialize in, God forbid, suicide prevention, or communities will bring you in when there's crisis management needed, or just communication and, children with anger management issues or family togetherness. You experience the loss of the passing of your beloved wife after just a few weeks after the diagnosis, and you've dealt with grief at the lowest and toughest levels and risen above it. So as an expert in resilience and as one of the greatest dads who ever lived, lyrics to one of my songs, "Any male can be a father, but it takes a special man to be a dad." I honor your son, Billy, and what an amazing program you put together, SOW, hey?